Hello everyone, this is Afsar Ali. So in this video, you're gonna see how we can automate a mobile application using Appium and Postman. All right. So before doing that, let's understand a little bit about how the Appium architecture and how it works with a real device, whether it's a uh, emulator, simulator, and the real device, and with your language binding. All right. So if I go to Google and search for Appium architecture, you can see how it works is here is the Appium client uses WebDriver protocols. That means you can use your any language, all right, like Ruby, Python, JavaScript, or maybe PHP, C Sharp, Java, etc. Any language you can use to write your Appium or maybe Selenium code, which will, if you want to install particular application or do any operation on the uh, end devices, right? You can say it's whether it's a mobile device, whether it's a uh, web client, etc. Right? So how it communicate? Okay, so these are the sets of commands that we are providing using HTTP request. It's kind of a REST API, all right? And we are sending those requests to Appium server. Appium server is a standalone server which will, uh, using JSON wire protocol, that will convert your request into, mobile readable a request, and that will internal architecture it has. It will uh, go and ask those particular devices based on the capability that you have set here. So based on that, it will perform operation, whether it is on Android, whether it is on iOS device, etc. All right. So in this video, what we are going to do is, instead of using this API, Appium client, this library bindings, what we'll be doing, we'll be using Postman, right? Instead of this, we'll be using Postman, and this from here, this will be same because I'll be using Appium server standalone. All right, and then we'll send some REST API to this Appium server, and we'll see how it works. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so make sure you have installed Appium and with all its dependency, etc. All right. So I'm not going to do that installation part in this particular video. Maybe in the upcoming videos that I'll be creating a series of Appium tutorial. So in that I'll be doing that. All right. So let me just open Appium desktop. So I installed Appium desktop in my system, so I should able to see Appium desktop here. Okay, and here I'll be using a port number 4723, and it's a localhost 000. All right, and then start the server. So you can see the Appium REST HTTP interface listener started on this particular uh, address, all right, IP address, and this is the port number, right? So this is done. The next part, what I'll be doing is I'll use a Postman. Before that, let's understand what are the REST API or the endpoints that we deal with to interact with the applications, right? If I go to the Appium documentation, you can see this is the website about Appium or API. If you just search for API documentation, Appium API documentation, and you will come to here, and you can see there are a lot of operations and its implementation. Also, you can get it here. All right. So the first one is related to here the session that we are concerned about. The first one is the create session, right? If I click on that create session, you can see these are the Java, Python, JavaScript language bindings where you can do things like this to create a session. But we are not going to use any programming language. So what we'll be doing is we'll be using HTTP API specification. So you can see the endpoint is only session, and these are the JSON parameters that we'll be using. All right. So let me just quickly create one request here. I can say create session. and save to Appium, and this is the post one, and it would be http localhost, then 4723, then wd hub. All right, so this is you can save the base URL. Then after that, you need to use the session because the endpoint is session here. All right. So this is the post API call, and it takes the JSON parameter, right, as a body. So in the body, just click on the raw, then you can say JSON. Then you need to provide this desired capability in that. So I already have desired capabilities for my application. Actually, I'll be using the Android emulator for this, and I do have an application called Fine Clutter. I already installed. Maybe I can uninstall it and I'll just install it from my local. This APK already available in my machine. So I'll be installing that and I'll open a session. All right, so how we can do that? And this device platform name, we need a couple of things of the desired capability. You can see here as well the desired capability, what are the things that you will be needing to create a session. So you'll be needing platform name, platform version, device name, which automation you want to use, whether it's a UI automator, whether you XQI test for iOS, or the path of the application or the APK path, right? So these are the things that you will be needing in that in the desired capability section. So I already have it. If you will see, I already have the desired capability as a JSON format. All right, so let's start and just paste it here. Beautify, and you can see I do have a desired capability, and within that app and path of the app, the APK file, then app activities, then app package name. Those things you can get it from the application, all right, using APK info or any in a command line. Also, you can get those informations, and the device name, the Appium, sorry, the emulators device name, and the platform name, Android platform version is a 9, and these are the things that you will be using. All right. So the first thing that I'll be doing is, let's just quickly make it here and here, and we'll see how it works. And we'll see here as well. Okay, I'll send now the request, and we should see something will happen here. It is happening already. All right. So it will install the application in here, and then it will open the application. All right. Yeah, it opened the app. And the next thing, and the response also, you can see the response that you got a lot of things here, like value, platform, web storage, a lot of things, desired capabilities, and app specific, and the device specific information also available here, and the session ID. All right, this session is being created, and the session ID that we'll be using in the next request. All right, so what I'll be doing, I'll just copy this. All right, so once I copy this session ID, the next thing that I'll be doing is I'll create on, I'll find this upcoming element. All right, the element name is upcoming, and I'll click on that. All right, so what thing that we need to do is find element. So here I'll be getting the REST endpoint for the find element. Here you can see find element, and go to here, and this time this is the session, then session ID and element. So session ID we already got, and the element. All right, so what I can do, just copy it. Maybe what I can do, I'll just save it and the copy. and duplicate it and just rename it find what is the upcoming element. All right, so in this case what I'll be needing is I'll need a session ID. All right, I think this is the session ID, then element. Okay, so session ID we got from the the previous request, and I'll be using same in this, and then element. All right, and it also takes JSON parameter. Okay, JSON, and we need to use using and value. So in that I'll be using in the body, I don't need these. In this case I'll be using I can say XPath. So I'll be using XPath and value, I can say the value means the XPath of that. So I do have already XPath for that. I can say this is a long XPath. All right, so I got the XPath of this particular this upcoming element. All right, so what I can do, I'll just send the request. All right, let's see what happens. So yes, you can see you got the element ID. All right, session ID, then element ID you got here. And the next thing that I'll be doing is I want to click on this upcoming thing. So I got the element ID, so I'll be clicking on that element ID, right? So for click also you'll get the REST API here. You can see click. And for click, what you need is you need session ID, you need element ID as well, and click. All right, so let me just quickly copy this. I can say click on upcoming element. All right, so in this case we got these and we need this element ID. All right, I can see element, then element ID, then click. All right, so what it will be, what it will do, and this doesn't require any JSON parameter. You can see none, so we don't need any JSON. It's empty. All right, so just save it and let me just click on that particular. Okay, you can see it clicked on that upcoming. All right, so this is cool. So one thing what we can do is we can also use a variable for those values. All right, so these are the session ID. Instead of copy and paste from each of them, what I can do is I can just save this IDs, session ID into some variable. So I created one something called local host. Within that I do have maybe just remove this. Okay, is the previous one, you can say. I can just remove those. All right, so I created session ID and element ID variable, and within that I'll be saving this information, these variables. All right, and I'll be reusing instead of hard coding. So how we can do that? Let's do it in the test section, because in the test section we can do that. All right, so here from in this section I can get a set environment variable. Okay, and the variable key, and the variable key is you can say the first one is session ID, the second one is element ID. All right, so I can do the same. Session ID, And the value from here we need to get from this. All right, you need to get it from this response body. All right, so to get the value from the response body, also you can see there is a, you can see here response body or something like that. You can see no, this one I can use JSON value check. All right, pm response.json. So this is the one that I need. I'll just delete everything. All right, where session ID is equal to dot. Okay, the JSON body you got. Now you'll be needing the session ID. All right. So what I can do this. All right. So now you got this, and just paste that information here, and it will set the environment variable present within this localhost. All right, of that, and save it. And then similar thing that we'll be doing for the this one as well, find element as well. All right, so what we can do, all right, okay, if I go to this find upcoming element, so find element, and you know this this is the element ID already, so I need to get this element ID from the response body and save into the element ID variable. So what I can do, I can just write this same thing, set environment variable, this time element ID. All right, and here I would say pm JSON. Okay, I'll just copy paste here, dot you can say a value dot element. All right, so I can say value dot value dot element. So it will get this element ID, and it will save into element ID one. All right, so the next one we had, so in the same here as well, instead of using this session as a hard coded, what I can do, I can just write something like that. All right, sorry, session ID. All right, I got the session ID. And the next one, click. In the click also, I need session session ID. Let me just remove this session ID. Then element, then element ID, then click. All right, so this is the one. So let's do it once again. So I'll create the session, a new session, and we'll do whether it's working or not. So create session, send request. It should open a new app. I mean the same app in the new instance. You can check here as well. So it's doing, yeah. So now it should install that app and open that app. Okay, so now the session is being created, and you should see in here the value is being added of session ID already. All right, and I can reuse the same session ID in the next upcoming in this. So here you can see the session ID already there, and just you need to find that element, and from this element ID also is being already set in here. into the element ID environment, and I'll be doing the next one is the click. All right, so click I'll be doing on the session ID element ID click. All right, send it, and it clicked on that. All right, so similarly we can click on any element using XPath, using you just have to just find it, and then once you find it, that element ID is being saved into the variable. Then you can click, or you can just send keys, or you can do anything you want, right? So those thing is possible. Whatever you can see, and here all the operations, click, get text, selected, everything is possible through Postman as well. You can install, activate, and touch as well is possible. Let's see, you can see, I'll see this move, whether this is possible or not. Yes, it should be this endpoint, session, then session ID, then touch, move, and the JSON URL parameter is session ID, and the JSON parameter X coordinate and Y coordinate. If you give just so X coordinate and Y coordinate, like X coordinate from here to here, from where to where you want to scroll or move, or those things, and that will work as expected, right? So yeah, so this is how it will work, and the benefit of this would be like you can use, suppose in your machine, the client that you are using, some lower version of Appium library or dependency, or the jar that you are using, and suppose you want to use some functionality that is not available in that version, but your server, the Appium server, is the latest one. All right, so this server is Appium server is latest, but your code, your dependency, the jar that you are using in your code base is not updated, or maybe some restriction is there in your organization. And in that case, you want to use some advanced method that is already being in the latest one, but not in your in your case, all right, in your library, because it's a lower version. So in that particular case, you can use this methodology, you can use this technique to perform operation on the on that the server side, right? Because this is the latest one, the Appium server is latest and it has everything. So you just have to use the REST API. Okay, you can use any client, I mean the library to send this API response, request. You can use REST assure, or you can HTTP, you can use HTTP, Java's HTTP, or maybe Express, anything that you can use to communicate, right? So you can also see a lot of options available. So if you want to, maybe this is the one, maybe find element, right? So if you want to just find element, we using C sharp, all right, C sharp, you can do like this way. You can just create a REST client, then you can send a post request, right? And here add request parameter like this in the JSON. You can add it, and it will perform your uh, operation. And similarly, you can get a lot of, you can also use a curl, your terminal request as well, using this particular REST API, right? And also you can use HTTP, you can use Java's OK HTTP, or there are a lot of available ways that you can just copy those code, and you can use in your in your framework, so that will and that can operate on the method that already available in the latest version of Appium, but not available in the version that you are currently using. All right, so yeah, I think this is helpful, and please comment and like my videos and subscribe, and thanks for watching, and bye for now.